right, it's on.
It's on. It's on.
Ah! It's on.
And this time, it's personal.
Aren't all those personal? I mean, isn't that the whole reason why the protagonist goes through like an hour and a half of exposition, plot points?
Well, no,
Yeah,
it's kind of like, Rocky 1, it's not personal. Rocky 2.
Of course it is. He's trying to reach his
but it's not like a personal thing.
Vendetta.
The other box.
Oh.
Well, Jaws 1, it just used just a shark being a shark.
Yeah.
But it
Jaws
became
2,
personal.
He's
And
like,
really, I mean, honestly, sorry. I was going to say that the first Jaws was really just a silver screen version of Moby Dick with a non-citation in a role.
Well, I mean, I guess, but nobody's really obsessed with it, right? It's kind of a creeping menace that then kills them.
yeah.
But that's not the Schneider character. That's the actually, in a way it is, but it's also the captain of the orca.
They become obsessed with it during the course of the movie. I guess I could see what you're saying.
Sure, but that's like in the third act, right?
It's like
the
the
second
prequel.
act, they're
It's
still
like
like
the prequel
negotiating prices.
This is how he became obsessed with the white whale.
Yeah.
Moby Dick
prequel.
is, this time it's personal.
Yeah.
Well, what's Moby Dick? Part 1. The prequel is just Ahab.
Yeah.
And then Moby Dick. This time it's personal.
But it would be Ahab like growing up as a sailor, like the rough and tumble life of a merchant. Oh, he was a merchant.
The captain's menace.
I'd like to think that the prequel would follow the whale, and it would just be a nature footage documentary about whale breeding.
Well, no, just the brutality of life in the seas at that time. Like it'd be sort of
but
like
also a tranquil portrait of whales and the beautiful mating habits they're in the deepest, darkest mysteries of our big blue marble.
No, I think it would be better if it was kind of like a Bambi thing where Moby Dick's mother gets harpooned, dies, and it's like, I'm coming back for you.
Now it's personal.
Right.
Yeah.
Finally. All right, y'all. You ready?
Yep.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. Talking to you. To find out all the ways to support the show, head to patreon.com. Screw that. I'm going to start this over. 3, 2. Daily Tech News Show is powered by you. I mean, you. To find out all the ways to support the show, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, December 14th, 2017 from DTNS headquarters in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Las Vegas, I'm Justin Robert Young.
And of course, our producer, Roger Chang, loyally standing by. Roger, how are you?
Yes, I am good. It is nice.
Roger is our loyal opposition.
Am I?
You're kind of contradictory sometimes, in a good way.
Maybe contentious. All right.
Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Okay, deep breath. The US FCC voted 3-2 to change the Open Internet Guidelines of 2015 to reclassify internet service providers as information services as they were classified from 2005 through 2015. This removes the justification for prohibiting blocking, throttling, and paid prioritization, shifts enforcement of consumer complaints to the FTC, and adds transparency requirements. Several organizations intend to challenge the changed rules in court.
Well,
We'll talk more. Yeah.
Snap launched the Lens Studio AR developer tool Thursday for desktops. Any developer can create interactive 3D objects to be placed in photos and videos on Snapchat. The lens will be promoted by QR codes by those who develop them.
Snap stealing those features from Facebook. So sad. Amazon said Thursday it will resume selling Apple TV and 2 versions of the Apple TV 4K, the Chromecast and the Chromecast Ultra. Peace in our time, people. Amazon removed the devices from its store in late 2015. We've now got an Amazon app on the Apple TV. We've got Amazon selling Google and Apple stuff again. We might very well see YouTube come back to the Echo Show and Fire TV shortly. Who knows?
I'll tell you what, Merry Christmas. War is over if you want it.
If you want it. Here are some more top stories. Take us off, jury.
Well, Facebook will not renew direct payments to the live news feed video broadcasters. Instead, Facebook will encourage them to use branded content sponsorship and mid-roll ads. Facebook will continue payments to Facebook Watch shows for the time being, but is bringing 6-second pre-roll ads to video watched from the Facebook Watch tab. In plain English, this means that the investment phase for Facebook when it comes to live video and higher end content that they want for Facebook Watch is coming to an end. And now this content will either sink or swim by itself. To give you context, last year around this time, they were paying a lot of celebrities. There was a big stir in sports when the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown was Facebook live streaming from the locker room. There was deals in place there. No longer. Now the people that are going to be doing it are either going to have to work out their own deals or be doing it for their own fun.
Yeah, this is Facebook moving the live people off the payment system, saying you've either created your audience or not by now, BuzzFeed. So go, fly, be free, make some money off ads if you can. And then they're sort of putting the Facebook Watch shows like See It, Skip It on notice, saying, hey, we're going to start running pre-rolls on the tab, see if we can make some money off this. So, we'll keep paying for you for now, but when you turn 18, you have to get out of the house and find a job.
Well, at least everybody likes pre-roll ads,
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love a good Well, no, to that point, the pre-roll ads will not show up if the video shows up in your news feed. So let's say you follow Rotten Tomatoes and See It, Skip It shows up in your news feed, no pre-roll ad. But if you go to the Facebook Watch tab and choose to watch it, then you get the pre-roll.
So finally, another reason to go to the Facebook Watch tab.
And watch See It, Skip It. Disney announced, or I'm sorry, Mike, I'm sorry, this is Sarah's story. I should shut up.
Well, that's okay. I'll just jump right in. Disney announced its agreement to acquire most of 20th Century Fox, including its movie studios, regional sports networks, cable channels, and production arms. A new company called Fox will spin out on its own and will include Fox broadcasting stations, national sports, and Fox News. Disney will assume controlling ownership of Hulu. Comcast and Time Warner will have minority stakes. Disney expects the acquisition to take 12 to 18 months to close. So a year from now, we might be talking about this still.
Yeah, there's two big things here on the technology side of stuff, kind of ranging into the cord killers area. And one of them is Hulu. Disney now will own 60% of Hulu. In 12 to 18 months, should this be approved, I mean, this isn't done yet. This is going to take a while. But should this finish, then it's a matter of, well, what do they do with Hulu? And a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe they change Hulu into the Disney service. I don't think they do that. I think they're already well enough along with their Disney service that they probably want to just keep the Disney service going. My guess is they'll look at Hulu and say, this can either be, because of its original shows like Handmaid's Tale, a competitor to Netflix that we just create on its own. It's just a channel. It's like Stars, HBO, Netflix. That's a new category. Or they say, well, now we have a cable TV service. We have a live television service with Hulu TV, and we didn't have that before. NBC Universal has one because of Comcast. Well, now we've got one too, and they could lean into it that way and even keep the originals as a differentiating factor of like, hey, you subscribe to Sling TV or PlayStation View, you're not going to get original shows like Handmaid's Tale like you will with us.
The other thing that is big here is the idea of buying the regional sports networks. They have announced that not only will they come out with a Netflix competitor that is Disney branded, but also an ESPN over-the-top service. A lot of questions as to exactly what that will look like. However, if they own these regional sports networks, which do have a lot of sports rights for hockey, basketball, specifically college sports for a lot of it, now they can make a very targeted regional approach to an ESPN branded network that will not only bring all the mothership shows, but also in certain markets, exactly what you want sports-wise, where you want it. That is a tremendous advantage for them and really kind of looks more like the future of the ESPN brand than what it is now, which is effectively a slowly eroding cable subscription model.
And we also we'll see Marvel reunited. I mean, Spider-Man still sits over at Sony, but they've on good relations now with them. Fantastic Four, X-Men, etc. Would become Disney properties. Even they're still Marvel properties. There's just a long-term licensing agreement, so that licensing agreement would come back in-house.
Yeah, and Bob Iger said that yes, Deadpool will remain R-rated. It's just a matter of them figuring out the right messaging to let parents know that going to see this other, movie will not be like the Avengers. So nobody freak out. Deadpool will still be able to use the F word.
Are you freaked out, Sarah?
No, I'm relieved.
Good.
I like Deadpool the way it was.
Microsoft announced new features for the Bing search engine, which use the result of the company's AI research. Intelligent search and conversational search are two of the features. They use machine learning to interpret questions, provide more relevant results. Intelligent image search lets users search within an image for elements. So if you see a picture of someone wearing jewelry, you can click to search within, and you don't get to click on the jewelry. It's still in a fairly fundamental stage, but it would say like, well, the biggest thing in here is jewelry, so let's find other images that have that same piece of jewelry in them. Anyway, Microsoft also announced a partnership to integrate Reddit content into Bing search results as well.
I'm surprised it did not incorporate Reddit already.
Well, it incorporated Reddit, obviously, just like any search engine, but they didn't have, now they have a partnership where they're going to be surfacing things. You know how sometimes when we search on Google and it'll show the Twitter results in a separate thing? Yeah. It's going to do that for Reddit now, too.
Or like, lyrics.
Okay, besides me liking a watch every now and then and being like, oh, I wonder who's wearing, where that watch came from. I mean, is the point to have advertisers now be able to have us click inside photos on Bing and get a little kickback?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I've always found these kind of direct marketing deals when it comes to search platforms to be a little dicey. I don't know exactly how many people want to end their search for something as personal and pricey as jewelry with like, oh, got it on that first Bing search. Nailed it.
Well, remember, they're just using jewelry as an example. You could also have a picture of a tiger and find other pictures of that tiger. And I don't assume you're going to be buying tigers. Like, it doesn't have to be used just for shopping.
Sure. Yeah. So a huge boon for Siegfried and Roy out here.
Don't buy tigers.
Vegas. Don't buy tigers.
It's against the law.
Unless you're Siegfried and Roy.
Well, while we're talking about search, Google updated its trips, flights, and hotel search with more focus on best rates. So now you get price info, but then Google can also tell you the best time to buy an airline ticket or see when room rates are higher or lower. The Google Trips features will include ticket and tour deals in the city you're visiting within the app and will be launched worldwide in English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and Portuguese.
So they're really going after Hopper with this. Like, this is where Google gets the bad name of they're so big they just put people out of business by replicating their business within search. And don't get me wrong, I love this. I've been using the Google Travel Search from time to time to find fares because they go cross-platform in ways that Kayak and others don't. And so now, if you can tell me whether I need to wait or I should buy now for a fare, that's one less reason for me to go to a third-party service.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I've gotten really used to searching for flights just within Google Search itself.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I still use stuff like Hipmunk, but for frequent travelers, taking a lot of this, certainly sub-travel hacking, but more intelligent, a quantitative look at when best fares are available, I think is exciting. And it just shows you're right, Tom, that Google still has the root. They can take you out at the knees at any moment.
Yeah. I expect a protest to be lodged in Europe shortly.
Pandora, which reminds me, Avatar, now owned by Disney as well, is offering, but this isn't Pandora, the magical land. This is Pandora, the music service.
I mean, it's a magical land. It's just a different kind of magical land.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. A magical auditory soundscape for you to delight. Is offering access to its premium music on demand tier without a subscription. Listeners view a single 15-second ad to unlock a single session of music listening. Though Pandora isn't specifying how long the session lasts, it's the first big move by Pandora since Roger Lynch took over as CEO after founder Tim Westergurden stepped down in June.
Yeah, so this is I mean, kind of a little step backwards in a way for the music industry. They've been trying to get people to move away from free tiers. But I guess with that 15-second pre-roll and they say it's enough to listen to an album or a playlist, but it's a limited amount of time. It's not like a Spotify free tier used to be where you just, you just keep listening, or the Pandora free tier when you couldn't select the songs, but you just kept listening and every once in a while get ads. This is, you can select the songs, you can select the albums, you can select the playlist like any Spotify type system, but you have to listen to a 15-second ad first, and eventually it's going to stop.
This is puzzling to me because I don't see these kinds of advertisements increasing in value, even as the user base increases for these services. It seems as if advertising in general is kind of a very dicey market right now, specifically auditory or display advertising. So, Pandora, obviously one of the biggest names in this space from a very, very, very early moment, but
Pandora's had to make a lot of changes over the years when subscription services like Spotify and Apple Music and others proved very popular. I mean, the whole idea with Pandora at the beginning was not only was it a pioneer, but it was something that it was a model that nobody had before, and it was great. But people want more choice, turns out.
And I think what they're trying to do here is say, we don't want to have a free tier. We want to have a try before you buy tier. We want to convince people to pay for the premium tier.
Good luck.
Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to Daily Tech Headlines. You can't afford not to. I mean, not literally. It won't cost you anything not to, except knowledge. You could be having, in less than 5 minutes, all the tech knowledge. Not all, but a lot. You should try it out. DailyTechHeadlines.com. Also available as a flash briefing on your Amazon Echo, if that's your poison, or Google Home, or the Anchor app. It's all over the place. Check it out. DailyTechHeadlines.com. And that's a look at our top stories. So the internet is ending. They'll be shutting it down tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's it, Sarah.
Well, it's been fun.
Yeah,
right?
It's been a great time. It's been a great
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. We're flipping on the lights. We're turning over the chairs. Get out.
Yeah. No, that's not what's happening. In fact, even the new open internet guidelines are not even out of phase yet. Today, the FCC, as expected, no one was surprised, voted 3-2 to change the rules from the previous open internet guidelines to classify internet service as an information service again. It was an information service from 2005 to 2015. They're taking it back now. It had a good 2-year run at being a Title II service again, like it was in its younger days from the 1960s and until 2005. But now it's back to being an information service because reasons. The vote does not mean the rules come into effect. The rules must be entered in the Federal Register. That'll take a few months. Once they're published, then they'll go into effect. And as soon as they go effect, this may sound familiar to some of you who were listening to the show in 2015, because it's the exact same thing I was saying about Wheeler's rules. Once they go into effect, expect lawsuits. We are going to get lots and lots of lawsuits. They likely won't get the rules stayed, but they'll probably stop people from taking advantage of them until they see how the lawsuits play out. States may be suing because there are some prescriptions in these new rules that say a state or local law cannot contradict a federal one. Now, that's something you can get away pretty easily under a Title II, but now that you're Title I, it's a harder legal justification to make, so we'll probably see some cases about that. Organizations are planning to sue the FCC, saying the rule change was arbitrary and capricious for several different reasons, among which are not properly addressing legitimate objections, most famously being that letter from the internet's creators like Tim Berners-Lee and Vint Cerf. There's some talk about the issue of fraudulent comments and identity theft and somehow that playing into it. And there could be a congressional action under the Congressional Review Act. The Congress can come in and undo changes. You might see a push for that. But honestly, probably none of these cases are really going to get the rules changed. I think what we're seeing, y'all, is a push towards legislation. Senator Bob Thune has already sent out a statement saying that he believes that Congress should take action now. He's sort of not contradicting Ajit Pai. He's like, now that we have this regulatory scheme cleared up, let's make some clear rules in Congress. So it looks like that's where this battle's headed next.
I mean, okay, so if I can just play sort of like I'm a regular person on the internet.
Sure.
It was a certain way from 2005 through 2015, and how is it going to get bad now?
It's not.
I know that's a very oversimplified question, but I think a lot of people wonder, like,
like what's going to happen?
Period changing.
If you remember, back in 2005 through 2015, the star example is Comcast, for reasons of anti-piracy, not paid prioritization, not blocking or throttling, started to kill BitTorrent packets.
Yeah,
and they were stopped by the FCC. The FCC said, "Look, you can't do that. You can't go kill BitTorrent packets just because you don't like what's in them. That's a violation." And Comcast sued the FCC and won. They said, "You don't have the authority to tell us not to because we're an information service. We get to do that." Now, Comcast actually backed off and stopped doing it anyway because of public pressure. That's where we're going to be. We're going to be in a situation where if a company tries something, and I don't expect fast lanes and tiers tomorrow, but if something tries something, it's going to be as a test to see, is this little something we can get away with? Is it something that we can withstand public reaction to, and not get hauled in front of the FTC, which now has the authority over consumer complaints?
Also, 2005 to 2015, to me, in terms of this conversation, is when the internet really kind of came of age, specifically with video information and the idea of the amount of how much the internet, how much we process has exponentially kind of exploded from that point, as we now love our 4K everything everywhere we could possibly want to watch it. So I don't even know where to start, because I found myself getting very, very, very frustrated with some of the reaction to this, specifically in the sky is falling situation. Now, I don't believe that this was a great decision. I don't believe that having an unelected board of 5 people, when they can not take public comment is the best way for us to be laying the groundwork for the how we conduct all communication and commerce, and will continue to for the foreseeable future of our society. However, I do think that we are overdue for legislation. We need to start looking at this as what it is. This is not a telephone subsidiary. This is a wholly different way that we are building the future. And if we don't set very common sense, very bipartisan, very popular groundwork for it, then we are going to continue to have this ping pong back and forth as it becomes a partisan issue with appointments.
Well, and that's one of the other reasons you won't see the ISPs taking drastic measures, is because if they started to build out a business plan on the idea that, hey, we're unregulated now, and then someone else gets into office a couple of years down the road, suddenly those rules might change again. They don't have regulatory certainty. Until they have regulatory certainty, they're not going to take a lot of actions and put a lot of investment anyway into paid prioritization and blocking and throttling. So it's easy for them to say they're not going to do it because it doesn't make financial sense yet until they get that certainty. And at this point, congressional action is probably the only way they're going to get it.
I mean, a company is not required to screw over customers just because of this.
Just because they can, yeah.
Right. I mean, I know that they're in the business of making money, but it's like I could see some sort of a platform that could be really, really attractive because you have some promise from the company that they're not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, and that's
very specific about what they're doing.
My idea has always been the ideal situation is I've got 5 or 6 ISPs to choose from, and if one of them tries to pull something that is a violation of net neutrality, I just don't subscribe to them and they go out of business because nobody wants that.
And even in the situation that we have now, which, believe you me, I am fully in the camp that this is not ideal. There are way too many markets, including major markets, that do not have the kind of competition that they need, including Oakland, California, which, by the way, I went to AT&T, cannot get whatever their fiber. One building in Oakland. I'm going to pause that for a second. Yeah. But we do need more competition. We do need more. If what Chairman Pai wants is market pressure, we need more players in the market. And I don't know. It's something that I think it very much frustrated me to see it simplified in the way that it was, because I don't think it brings us any closer to actually safeguarding what we care about, to safeguard how we make our money, how we communicate with our friends and family, and preventing something like this, the worst case scenario, from happening.
I look at it this way. The internet was created under the idea that things interoperate. You send me packets, I send you packets. And the only time we have to worry about accounting for it is if it gets out of whack, if you're sending me way more than I am. And the only people who have to pay are the people on the endpoints. I want to get on the internet. I gotta pay. Maybe I gotta pay to interconnect, or I gotta pay to an ISP. And for years, there was a happy coincidence that gestalt happened on telecommunications networks, and therefore just kind of fit right in under the Title II Act. And people said, well, you know what? That's kind of similar, so we'll just regulate it that way. Fine, no problem. Then come along to 2005, and cable companies want to get into the internet game, right? They've been building out their networks for years at that point, and they're like, we're used to being regulated as information services. We'd like to continue that practice. Thank you. They get Michael Powell to change the classification. That suddenly everything becomes a problem. Well, then when Tom Wheeler comes in and says, well, let's change it back to Title II. All of the problems with doing that show up and say, well, now you got to forbear everything, and it's clunky, and not everything fits, and it's a little bit regulatory burden that wasn't there before. And it just shows that, sure, in its young days when not as many people were using it, being on telecommunications network worked fine. But now we are at the point that cable television was in 1996. You need to have regulations that are specific for it. You need to enshrine in law that idea that the way the internet works best is when everybody just passes along the packets, right? The way a telephone network works best is very similar, but it's not the same. So you enshrine that in a very light touch law that says, this is how the internet is supposed to work. We've consulted Vince Cerf and Tim Berners-Lee and all the people who built the internet, and we're putting the least amount down that says this is how it should work. The second thing you need to do then is go in and create an open market for internet service providers. To put laws out there that say you can't use anti-competitive practices to keep people off poles, to keep people from digging lines. Let's encourage people to get into the market of ISPs rather than what we have right now, which is a patchwork of local laws that discourage people from starting ISPs.
Tom, I thought you made a good point. I think it was a Facebook post where you were saying, the people who want to compare data to something like water running through a pipe can't do that because water is finite and data is not.
Yeah. Yeah, that. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, I mean, yes, a lot of the flow management is a good analogy for the way water pipes work. But in the end, the water company can say, like, we need to raise rates because we have less water and we need to reduce water usage. There is capacity issues, but they're not that. You don't run out of bits. There's not like a bucket of bits somewhere. Like, we're going to run out of bits if we don't raise rates. So. Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. You can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com and facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Let's check in on the mailbag, Sarah.
We were talking yesterday about companies having to apologize and roll back some things that customers don't like. It was sort of building off of the Patreon discussion that we've been having lately. Mark wrote in, he's in Birmingham in the UK. He says, I run a podcast hosting service. We had a free tier, which earlier this year we had to massively cut back on. But I wrote my customers. I was very open about it, answered a lot of support questions, concerns. Most of the base pretty understanding. I think this comes from just trying to be honest with our customers and them knowing, for the most part, we're not some big multi-million-dollar operation, just trying to do a good thing. So then he says, our free tier was always about helping those who couldn't afford it. So they were doing good work, maybe find a platform. So we pivoted to giving over some of our space to podcasts that demonstrated a community benefit. People could submit applications. We were allowed to deny them if we wanted to, and then they could make a choice to pay or go somewhere else. And he links to a blog post that he has more on the subject. I think this is just kind of like a reminder that communication is good.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he sat on Reddit, he says, and just talked to people, right? Like, hey, we're thinking about making this change. Here's why. Let me answer your questions. Of course, he got a couple of people who are angry about it, but most people are like, hey, thanks for listening. I guess I get it now. Okay. Like, that's a good model.
Yeah. I mean, it's things have to change. Sometimes you have to do stuff that is going to disappoint some folks, but listening and being part of the community, especially running a podcast hosting platform, you did the right thing, Mark.
Yeah. Two things that you have to remember about the internet. Number one, communication is key. The more you can put it there and convince people that you are being as open and honest with them, the more they will evangelize for your position. And also, as our friends at Patreon discovered, making a mistake and correcting it in a week means that you are the internet ages or has time go by like that planet in Interstellar. Week is several decades worth of pain and suffering. So try to be as actively in communication with your affected demographic as possible.
Yeah. Ray 007, by the way, in the chat room just now said, my ISP ran low on bits during primetime last night. And I'm going to be that guy, Ray, and I apologize in advance. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there thinking literally that, like, yeah, but sometimes, things slow down. And why is that? It's not that they ran out of water. It's not that they ran out of bits. It's the pipe wasn't wide enough, right? That's the difference. It's the key difference to think about. That's why you need a separate thing. Thank you, Justin Robert Young.
Speaking of communication. Oh, sorry, Tom.
No. I was just going to do what you were just about to do and thank Justin.
I would we'll continue with this awkward segue. Speaking of communication, Justin Robert Young, where can people communicate with you?
Oh, man, that was great. You can communicate with me on Twitter with at Justin R. Young. And of course, we are coming up on the holiday season, Hanukkah already in full effect. If you want your Diamond Club and Frog Pants stickers, pins, and patches, well, folks, there's only one place to get it. DIAF.com. Get your orders in now so I can get them to you for Christmas.
Go do it now. And thank you for supporting us. We've almost got all the people back in their places. If you haven't got back on board of Patreon, or if you haven't heard somehow, they're not changing the fee structure. And the whole reason we're able to do this show is because of you. So thank you for supporting us in whatever way you can. dailytechnewsshow.com/support to find out all the ways, and patreon.com/DTNS for the rest.
Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 21:30 UTC at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com.
Back tomorrow, Patrick Norton's going to talk to us a little bit about PCs in the coming year. Rob Reed's going to talk about cryptocurrency, and Len Peralta is going to draw it all. We'll talk to you then.
Woohoo!
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
It's like a 4-year habit I'm trying to kick there.
Which is?
Of thanking the guest.
Thanks.
Oh, well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
You guys had a very good discussion. I contributed the least, but I learned a lot.
Oh, on the net neutrality stuff?
Well, it's just, yeah. I'm giving you a compliment.
It's a thorny issue.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is that this is obviously the last time we'll be talking about it. So
Right.
there will be certainly no more net neutrality talking points to be made.
Yeah.
All right. Titles.
Yes. What do we got?
What do we have?
Not neutrality. What does the fox say? This Disney. FCCing up net neutrality. FCC lawsuits start your attorneys. Dogs and cats living together. The MCU is now complete. Retailers of pitchforks and torches rejoice. Go FCC yourself.
That one always gets me. It's not the first time I've heard it either.
Net neutrality. Neutralize. Fox in the Hulu house. Outfoxed by the mouse.
I think our title should be net neutrality related, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
Just how could it not?
I titled, usually I just title like with Justin Robert Young as a placeholder, but I actually titled it What Next or What Now? What Now?
I think this is one of those episodes that people will see in their podcast catcher feed and be like, oh, I got to. So I think even saying like net neutrality, what now? I think would be probably the biggest.
No, I like that.
Oh, okay.
So net neutrality, what now? Is that the
net neutrality? What now?
Panic.
What is it again?
Freak out. So freak. Or left
so
feet.
chic?
Aw, freak out.
And if you may have noticed, Justin mentioned a column that I wrote. There is a column up on patreon.com/DTNS about the net neutrality decision that is open for all. Usually the column is only for the associate producer backers, but every once in a while I'll make one just open. This one is open, so anybody can read it. You don't even have to support the show to read it. Just go check it out.
It's a good one too. Lots of info.
I try.
Yes. Good, hearty, fibrous info.
It's the,
like it will regulate you.
It will regulate.
Like it is so infuriating to just like this to have a topic that like we can all pretend, oh, it's so important, everybody let's freak out, let's go ahead and hashtag this a million times, and then just to take the most trivial points and just explode them into the biggest issues. It's like, look, this is not the end. This is the beginning of the future. There's nobody who could honestly look at Title II and say that it's anything other than just the best tool you could have used. And that, like, to say that it is the best tool we could have is just lying. So we need to understand, look, the fight begins now for what this is. And it doesn't have to be a fight on both sides of the aisle. This is the stuff that we really need is agreed upon and common sense. This should be a bipartisan for both sides in Congress to give us very fair, easy ground rules.
75% of Republicans, 89% of Democrats, 86% of independents don't support the changes that were just made. That tells you something. But that doesn't even matter, okay? They made the changes. It's where you go now. And I noticed when Ajit Pai was giving his talk about why he wanted to make these changes, he used a lot of straw men. Now, that's totally normal for politicians. They use straw men. Rosenworcel and Minion Clyburn used straw men too. We're not alone. I'm not picking on Ajit Pai. But the ones he used were ones that I saw frequently bandied about in trying to argue for net neutrality. And I couldn't help but think, like, man, I just wish people hadn't handed him that weapon. If he was saying things that nobody had been saying, it would have fallen flat. But he was saying things that I definitely saw in headlines, definitely saw people saying. It's like, okay, so now, remember, this isn't about convincing you who are already convinced. It's about convincing the person on the fence. You win anything by getting the people on the fence. The people on the fence are like, yeah, I heard somebody say that, and it doesn't make sense. You're right. And that's why I think it's important to make the arguments reasonable and say, like, hold on, like, it's not going to fall apart, but that doesn't mean it should be changed. That doesn't mean it's good. We can have those kinds of subtle discussions. We really can.
And if I were to remove my tech analyst hat and apply my politics ski mask, I would say that this is the beginning of these issues politically, in terms of political viability, is right now. And you are doing yourself and these issues a disservice if we make them a partisan fight. This is not a partisan fight. This is a bipartisan a bipartisan win for all if we want it. And so just be smart about this. We don't need to act like this is the end of anything. Nothing has ended. This is the beginning of what we can build in the future, in my opinion. And Tom's article or column on it, to me, was the best example of that, instead of just lamenting this half understood idea of exactly what Title II and Common Carrier is.
That really nice recommendation makes me wish that maybe I hadn't put on the ski mask.
It's not a ski mask. It's
not even
beard.
a ski mask. It's just a fake beard.
It just makes you look like you look like someone from like Ulysses or the Odyssey who just got a job down like as a longshoreman, but you decided to keep the beard.
So what I'm hearing is, if you want to be taken seriously as a columnist, don't do this.
No.
All right.
Well, Twitter was in an uproar today. That's for sure. To your point, Justin, that people love freaking out.
I actually don't mind the freaking out. It's what happens when that's all there is. Like if there's nothing substantial that follows.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good information being shared, but
I guess like
also a lot of this is the beginning of the end for mankind.
Well, see, and that's the other thing is I'm not a nihilist, and so I find those types of headlines or those types of comments to be counterproductive. Is Justin frozen or is he permanently in a smile?
I think he froze. I think he got kicked
He'd
off.
probably say if he wasn't frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, bye, Justin.
Bye, Justin. I was saying, it's like, yeah, he seemed rather jovial.
At least he got the good points out.
Yeah.
Hey,
no,
good thing that happened after the show.
Little net neutrality.
I know they got me.
Your packets got killed already.
Justin,
that's it.
Does your hotel room have like a PhD certificate on the wall? What is that?
No, I'm staying with a friend. So this is the guest room.
A smart friend. Got it.
This is a graduate from UNLV.
Nice.
And a proud member of the AE Pi fraternity.
That's one of my editors at Revision 3 was from UNLV.
A fine institution, if there ever was one.
Sure, running Rebels. Good folks.
And they
I have an AE Pi something. No, I don't. Not AE Pi. What is it? I don't remember. Anyway.
No, I don't think you have the pre-qualifications.
Yeah, I just realized what you had said was not the same as what I was remembering. I was thinking of an honorary thing. You're talking about a sorority. Pretty sure, right?
AE Pi?
No. What is it?
I believe that is the Jewish fraternity.
Oh, okay. No, my sister was in a Jewish sorority.
Oh,
but she's not Jewish, so you can't get in.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I don't know about AE Pi.
Can you?
Certainly not.
What was that MTV show about sorority life?
Is that it? Now I got to look it up. If it's not the Jewish fraternity, now I'm going to feel bad. I don't have my Greek life.
Well, and I wasn't in a
fraternity. I never know anything about that stuff.
I got one of those like freshman year honors things where they're like, "You're now in the Phi Beta."
Oh no! Delta. It's not the Jewish fraternity. It's the honors fraternity.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it is.
So that's. I was right. Oh, I feel much better.
Yeah, you were right. You were right.
Well, there you go. You know, my attorney. Never mind.
No, calm it down. Don't go riding through on a horse named Sassy.
Sassy lassie, sassy horse.
So I think in all the fun that I may have successfully published the show. Oh! I just stopped myself from doing something dumb. Glad I looked. Almost put the headlines in the regular feed. And then I would have.
Oh no, you don't want that.
Mark and Joe would have been like, "Hey Tom, put the headlines in the feed again."
Can I make a personal appeal to all of the listeners?
If a Romanian angel appeal?
Yeah, if you are planning on going to see the new Star Wars movie tonight,
the Star Wars,
and you have avoided spoilers, do yourself a favor and don't spend any time between now and when you go to the theater in Twitch chats. It is a new hot trend with the kids these days to be posting blocks of spoilers, which I unfortunately was revealed to. So don't.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it was kind of a butt.
That's the worst prank or whatever you want to call it. Don't do that.
Yeah, they want the reaction, and so it sucks because it's like a big block of text, and you're like, "What the hell is?" Oh God, yeah.
And you're like, what?
You.
Obi-Wan is a horse. What?
Yeah. Strike me down.
So, like, did they put butter, peanut butter in his gum so he would lick it off and look like he was talking? The actual actor, not the horse.
Yeah. No, that was a well-known actor trick.
The saddest part about this is that now the full recording will not have your "strike me down" quote in it.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
Bye.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Bye.